Hey folks, today is Friday, April 3rd, 2020. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. It is week 3 of our self-isolation, social distancing, quarantine thing, keeping safe here in New York because of the virus. I do want to say to you guys out there, whether you're working, you're not working, you're social distancing, whatever you have going on in your situation, everybody's tackling this differently. Hope you guys are safe. Hope you guys are doing the right thing and just getting through this the best you can. I really miss my boys. I'm really lonely here, but we got to jump into the news. There is quite a bit to dive into, surprisingly. So the first thing, in case you've been living under a rock, yesterday, Naughty Dog came out and announced that The Last of Us 2 is delayed, thanks to that damn virus. Not only is it delayed, it's delayed indefinitely. Yes, ultimately it does seem like a smart move, but it's not any less of a bummer at all. Here's the statement from them. The good news is we're nearly done with development of The Last of Us Part 2. We are in the midst of fixing our final bugs. However, we were faced with the reality that due to logistics beyond our control, we couldn't launch The Last of Us Part 2 to our satisfaction. We want to make sure everyone gets to play The Last of Us Part 2 around the same time, ensuring that we're doing everything possible to preserve the best experience for everyone. This meant delaying the game until such a time where we can solve these logistic issues. We're hoping that this won't be a long delay, and we'll update you as soon as we have information to share. A lot of people are saying just release it digitally. Video games does thankfully be the medium most primed for something like this because games and digital distribution is so set up compared to something like movies, but it is worth pointing out that it's not that simple. They definitely made this decision with a heavy heart because you guys know crunch is a thing with video games. People bust their ass to the very end, to the finish line to make these things. And even if now developers are working from home and crunching from home, this disruption for such a large team, not to mention wrapping up the game in the same room, also distribution, certification, all of that stuff, you have to couple all of that is disrupted right now. So that makes sense why this is happening. I also want to point out too, like the way things are going, once this whole virus thing clears up, it's not going to be instant flip a switch and the game is out. It still needs to go through all of these processes. So expect at least quite a few months. Thankfully, Naughty Dog is doing the smart thing and keeping their workers healthy and stuff like that. That is, of course, the most important thing, your health. But let's move on. Still, despite the ongoing issues and the challenges the game industry is facing that we'll talk about in a little bit, there is still new console news rolling in little by little. An interesting snippet I wanted to talk about is from Xbox this week. After all the spec dumps and all the reveals and stuff, one of the big hubbubs about the Xbox Series X was the fact that the new updated controller is still using AA batteries, which if you're a tech head, if you're a techie, you're like, why isn't it just a USB-C rechargeable controller like we would expect and how most devices and controllers are in 2020? Well, Microsoft's explanation was actually pretty simple, and I realized that I'm really short-sighted and I didn't think of this. Speaking to Digital Foundry, a bunch of Xbox heads revealed a bunch of new interesting stuff about just like the process behind designing the physical box, but this quote from Jason Ronald, partner director of program management, he said that there's actually like a 50-50 customer opinion on this, regular traditional batteries versus a rechargeable controller. Some people want the ease of just being able to slap in regular old household batteries, while other people want to recharge it, but then other people don't want to be saddled with the fact that those rechargeable batteries inside that controller will die out. Something like a DualShock controller where, you'd have to basically just go buy a new one. So the way that Microsoft is looking at it is that the best case scenario was like a little bit of both. You have AA batteries that you can slap in it, and if you are a rechargeable battery type person, you buy rechargeable batteries and you just throw that in the sucker, which is actually what I've been doing lately at home. I don't know, it sounds so simple, but it was just something that we were like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. But it's an interesting conversation. I want to hear from you guys in the comments, like whether you're an Xbox player or not, controllers, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the ease of use of just regular old AA batteries in your house? I personally never have them around when I need them. Do you like the good old rechargeable controllers, but do you hate having to buy new ones if it shits the bed? Regardless, though, I do want to point out the Eurogame article. It is linked in the description below. There's a deep dive on much more in terms of just the philosophy on the controller design, the ergonomics, the muscle memory. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and some more tech spec stuff. But speaking of tech spec stuff, shout out to Eurogamer and Digital Foundry. They also did a sit down with Mark Cerny and went more in depth on his talk that he did like 2 weeks back about PlayStation PlayStation 5 specs, and some interesting things came out if you are like a huge mega spec nerd. I'm not going to go through all of it, but basically from the horse's mouth you get a little bit of more of an idea of how the 3D audio and the Tempest engine works, how the PlayStation 5's boost clock works, more details and examples on the SSD, a lot of deep dive stuff. So if you are curious on just next gen technology, check it out. And now it's time. Let's do some rumors, some real deep rumors. Buckle up here. Really take this with a grain of salt, but possibly we might know when the next Resident Evil is coming. Generally what the date is going to be and an idea of what it is. But this is just kind of from a random insider, whether or not you can believe him. Aesthetic Gamer has teased little snippets and info, possibly, about the next Resident Evil in the past, and this new stuff caught my eye. It sounds pretty interesting. If it's true. Is it? I have no idea. But it's fun to talk about. Here's what he said. The 2021 Resident Evil game started development in late 2016. By the time it releases, it'll have been development for 4.5 years. Its development is very similar to the original Resident Evil 3, not the remake, but I won't expand on what I mean by that until later. Side note, he probably means that at one point in development they had an idea for a character in a certain scenario and then they decided to change it halfway through to focus on a cooler character that everybody already knows and loves. That's just my Resident Evil brain. Anyway, the announcement for it will be really soon, and it's by far the biggest departure the series has ever taken. To the point I expect a lot of people will be pissed off about it when it gets revealed, but they should be open-minded. Internal testing and the like show it's a high-quality game, and I'm quite excited for it. Now, is this Resident Evil 8? What is this? He's also said in the past that Code Veronica isn't a thing that's being remastered, and that still makes me sad. I have a lot of thoughts on the direction of the series, especially after the success of Resident Evil 7, the real great success of Resident Evil 2, and just finishing my playthrough of Resident Evil 3 last night. I have a lot of ideas where this new rebooted-ish remade franchise can go. Maybe we'll talk about that in another video. Do you guys think this is BS or do you think this is legit? The Resident Evil brand has been strong. We know that the teams have been working on stuff and churning along. There's like a reinvigorated Capcom Resident Evil thing. So something's definitely coming. But what? We don't know. When? I'm losing my mind. I need friendship. I need companionship. Hello? Speaking of Resident Evil 3, I will have a before you buy video up ASAP. Generally, the gist of the game is it's really fun. I don't think it's as bad as other reviews have said it is, but it is criminally short and definitely has some shortcomings. Keep your eyes peeled. Anyway, I want to talk about some things we have linked in the description below, some videos and stuff you might be interested in case you missed them throughout the week. The first is a video detailing way more Microsoft Flight Simulator multiplayer stuff. We finally know what it's going to be, and if you're excited for this incredibly ambitious, insane game, check that out. We've also got a trailer that took a lot of people by storm for a game called Mortal Shell. This looks very interesting. I'm really digging the aesthetic and just the whole vibe around it. It is, of course, seemingly going to be another Souls-like type of action RPG, but I like to hear new spins on those types of things. Also, Sony just kind of dropped this trailer for this game called Windbound, which looks very colorful and interesting. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Now, let's talk about some Nintendo stuff. I'm so happy to talk about Nintendo. So the latest thing floating around is that Nintendo is planning a big celebration for Mario's 35th anniversary with a big launch of a bunch of Mario games. The rumor started with just kind of like Switch ports and Paper Mario, which had a lot of people excited. But a new report of insider information, so again, grain of salt. Video Games Chronicle is saying that this is going to be like a big deal release with them being treated as a special anniversary collection of games rather than just regular, straightforward, standard digital ports. Video Games Chronicle said that they can confirm that among the Mario titles set to appear on Switch are Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. I'm sorry. All I've wanted for a long time, man, is a modern way to play Super Mario Sunshine. Yeah, Galaxy 2. Unpopular opinion, I love the hell out of Mario Sunshine. The new Paper Mario, of course, is also exciting. Expect some of the Wii games. Hopefully, this is great, and hopefully Nintendo will drop some official, exciting news on us soon. Also, BioWare is in the news for a new job listing. People have been speculating, what is BioWare working on? Now, we know that they're working on Dragon Age. It's been announced. It's a thing. We know there is a team working on it, but then we also kind of know that there is the other team, one of the original guys returning to work on Mass Effect again, giving it another shot. Now we have even more confirmation thanks to a job listing for a technical director, and the listing says you will be the most senior engineering lead on the next major title in one of BioWare's most prestigious franchises. That's the interesting point that got a lot of people excited. Okay, so it's a returning franchise. Is it another thing that they're working on? Are they working on like Jade Empire? Or is this just a double down confirmation that we are getting still Dragon Age and Mass Effect? Which still I think is news in the sense that BioWare isn't dead after Anthem. EA is still supporting them. We are going to still get something like a Dragon Age project and a Mass Effect project. Even though they've been down and out, I am still willing to give them a shot, damn it, because they made one of my favorite games of all time, KOTOR. Also, side note, the job listing also mentioned AAA multiplayer experience, so whatever this game may be, it might have multiplayer as well. And now let's move on to talk about something totally different, the World Health Organization. And you guys probably remember last year they came out and declared gaming as a disorder, something that can actually be treated clinically and could be cause for concern. We talked about that a lot. There's a lot of like opinions and a lot of ways to look at it, but now things seem to have changed a little bit, and I thought it was funny. I just wanted to point it out. So now with the virus going on and everybody kind of isolating and keeping to themselves and staying indoors and not trying to get other people around them sick or contract the sickness themselves, video games are on the rise, and the World Health Organization is publicly saying that that is a good way to keep busy. They have launched an initiative with some of the big heavyweight video game companies, mobile and otherwise, this hashtag Play Apart Together. That's encouraging people to follow this social distancing and just hang out at home and play video games. It's just something that I thought was kind of funny and worth pointing out. Like, yay, video games. They are helping people stay healthy and stay inside. Granted, there are more important and pressing matters for the World Health Organization to publicly talk about, so I guess video games, they're like, yeah, sure, kid, whatever. I have no idea, but I am curious to hear about like what you guys are thinking with this. That's why I wanted to talk about this. A lot of you guys tweeted this at me. Thank you. What do you think? It is also worth pointing out, I've linked in the description below an article from gamesindustry.biz that if you like math and you like numbers and you like the inside baseball of video games, they break down how video games are doing well right now. I consider all of us kind of like shareholders, stockholders of video games right now because we all love them so much, so it's fun to point out. Granted, the situation is incredibly unfortunate. I don't want to minimize that at all. But the gist are 4.3 million games were sold during week 12. That's Monday, March 16th to Sunday, March 22nd, which is a 63% jump over the week prior. That's insane. Across 50 markets, 2.74 million games from publishers were downloaded during that week, which is a 52.9% jump over the prior week. Their example in France, which went into lockdown before Tuesday, March 17th, their digital downloading increased by more than 180%. According to them, console sales and physical sales were actually still chugging along. Also, it's worth pointing out the rise in Twitch and YouTube viewership and Steam users, of course, which like broke a record, I believe, a week or two ago. It's just fun to look at the numbers, so if you are a numbers nerd, link in the description below. But now, before we go, we got to do a console giveaway. We're not going to stop. We want to keep giving you guys stuff. You need stuff right now. So linked in the description below is the giveaway. You click it to sign up. You enter once, then you're entered for good. And then every single week, we go in to randomly choose one person to win a free console of their choice. For Nintendo Switches, there might be a little bit of a waiting period. But anyway, this week's winner is going to be this person right here. Congratulations. Be sure to keep an eye on your inbox, your spam box, stuff like that, because we're going to be reaching out to you to find out how to send you your free stuff. Good job. Good job. Like I said, there's a lot of news this week, so I want to know what you guys are thinking about all of it. The Last of Us 2 delayed. What do you think about those cool new screenshots we got at least? Those look good, right? Also, what do you think is next? There's got to be more delays coming. A lot of analysts are saying that that is a thing. What do you think is next on the chopping block? Also, how do you feel about the numbers? How do you feel about the World Health Organization? How do you feel about the newer little tiny details about PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X? Also, are you playing Resident Evil 3? Would love to hear from you. Anything at all, let's talk down in the comments. Like I said, though, things get a little crazy, so if you got anything else, if you want to yell at me directly, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino. But thank you guys for coming around every Friday, even in these times. We always really appreciate it. If you're new, consider subscribing, though, because we put out videos every single day. Regardless, though, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Pizza's on me.